This month, August of 2025, marks my 10-year anniversary of living up north, New York, New Jersey, and surviving. I have learned so many life lessons, and I mean, honestly, I should have. I've spent my entire 20s here. It hasn't been easy. There's been a lot of ups and downs. I've worked over 10 jobs. I have gained a lot of friends and lost a lot of friends. I've had major losses up here. My mom died, my cat died, my grandma died, and as an actor, I've had some amazing heights as well. It's truly been a journey, and I'm excited to dive into that today with you. So buckle up, plug your headphones in, and get ready for another episode of Aidan, Tell Me a Story. And now I know it's been a little over a month since I last posted, but I've been going through life and life has been happening. I did record a few episodes and I'm so excited for the next one, which is a super special guest, my sister. We dive into our childhoods, her perspective of it all. She's been through a lot more than I have. I only got a glimmer of the crack tales of my mom. Well, just to get you hooked and ready for the next episode, my sister shares one particularly sad story where her and my brother were home alone and they were really young at this point and they were hungry and all they had to eat was ketchup. She split it up amongst them and she was like, "Here, just pretend this is ice cream." That's sad. There's a lot more, so tune in for that episode. It's going to be pretty great. But now back to the story at hand. I am so grateful that I have been able to survive in New York City for 10 years. New York City, New Jersey, same difference. It's north. It's foreign to Texas. Both of them very foreign to Texas. Now, I want to preface this with, I did not do this alone. I couldn't have done this alone. I could have, but it would have been a lot harder. I have been lucky to have family supporting me and friends supporting me, and I have a good solid head on my shoulders, so I know what to do and what not to do, and I do make mistakes as well. So there are a lot of factors here. My story is not everybody's story. Everybody's story is not my story. And I've had challenges and help in a lot of different ways. So yeah, I wanted to lead and preface with that this journey was not done entirely alone. For the most part, physically, I have been alone, but I don't know, I just want to give credit where credit is due. I don't want anybody to interpret my story as me doing this completely alone with no help, because that's not true. Okay, it's not true. When did I move here? I moved here in the fall of 2015, right after high school. The first time I came to New York City was in December of 2014/January of 2015. I came with my mom and my best friend Julia, and it was so fun. That experience was very unique, and especially for us because Julia and I both never really explored. I think she hadn't had traveled at that point either. I know that was her first time in New York City, but either way, we crushed it. I think we had a lot of fun. I know Julie ended up getting sick because of the weather, and we like to sleep with the air conditioner on, and we did in the hotel too. And it was winter in New York City, and that was back when the summers and springs and falls were all still vivid. Yeah, and I fell in love with New York City, and I'm so grateful that this is where we came to visit and this is where we came to. That summer of 2015, I flew to New Jersey for freshman orientation at Fairleigh Dickinson University. I made a lot of good friends right from the jump. We had a little crew that we all hung out together with. It was a lot of fun. I have a lot of fond memories, but mostly of friends in New Jersey, not really of school itself, okay? Starting off, it was a little bit of a culture shock for me because I'm used to Texas Mexicans and Southern white people. So coming into a world full of and this was in Madison, New Jersey, so it's primarily white Jewish people who I've never really experienced before. I never met a single Jewish person or a single Italian person in Texas. Like, that really wasn't our thing. Naturally, I made friends with the lunch ladies there at FDU. They were my favorites. And acting was my thing. That's what I came here for. But I soon came to find out that that school wasn't meant for me. It was primarily musical theater based, and I really wanted something more. I really wanted to do film and TV because at that point I've been acting since I was 9 years old. No, 6 years. No, 9 years. 6 years old. It was 6 years old, right? At that point, I've been acting since I was 6 years old, starting with church, and I've done so much musical theater, and I did so much musical theater at that point, so I wanted something more. I wanted something different. And so I ended up transferring to the New York Conservatory for Dramatic Arts in New York, and in Manhattan, which is now closing. And I had such a great time there. I learned so much. But I'm going to save all of the acting stuff because I'm going to be making a video about that on my YouTube page. And it's going to be like a 10-year acting reflection video. So I'm so excited to dive into that. It's about time. There's been a lot that I've got because I've been able to walk through doors and network and so on and so forth, and we are definitely going to be talking about all that. Now, I cannot talk about my 10 years up north without talking about the amount of jobs you have to have in New York City. Most of the time you have more than one at a time. That's just how the cookie crumbles. Okay. Throughout these past 10 years, I have worked at IHOP in New Jersey and in New York. I have worked at Bubby's. I worked at Legacy. All those were serving jobs. And at a certain point, and that ended in 2020 because I got laid off because we all got laid off. The whole world did. But I vowed to never do serving again because I hated it. There was a point where I loved serving. I loved talking to people. I loved riffing with people. I loved the amount of money you could make in a short amount of time. But the co-workers of it all, the managers of it all, the cooks of it all, don't get me wrong. I've had amazing coworkers. I've had amazing managers, which some of them have turned into lifelong friends. And I've met some amazing cooks as well. But the amount of good does not outweigh the amount of bad, because there have been so many terrible people that I've worked with, and I don't like that. The stress that comes with serving is just so overwhelming. One thing I do know is that you shouldn't get rid of all the stress in your life, because stress is what kills you, and I know that serving would have killed me faster. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. Serving aged me, and I did not want to do it anymore. So I didn't. I stopped, which is when I started doing catering, which is like glorified serving. It's not having to deal with stresses of managers and stresses of time constraints, and it's a lot more lax than what I was used to. And I did end up coming to resent that too. But that's more so because in catering, a lot of the times, the places that you work at, the clientele look down on you and look at you as the help, or the fact that the clients that we worked for, the big corporations, not the people who look down on you, but the big corporations that we worked for, made you eat separate. There's been so many times that we've only been allowed to eat leftovers. Okay, 9 times out of 10 you are only allowed to eat leftovers. You have to eat in the back of a hallway where nobody can see you. It's the cold food. You get disposable plates. You huddle over a trash can. You fight for the last egg roll. I don't know. It's just so barbaric to me. It truly makes me, and I know it made other people feel like the help. And I don't know if you know me, but I speak out about those things. And I was very vocal, I'm surprised that I wasn't fired sooner than I was. But I spoke up for us, and I spoke up for my people, and I even went out of my way, especially if I liked the places that I went to, because a lot of times people would call me back, and if the in-house team had issues, I would always be like, just let me know and I will say something for you, because I wasn't scared about being fired. There are a billion jobs in New York City, and I know that I can get one in a pinch. I don't know why I know that, but I do know that. I'm just so grateful that it's never been hard for me to get a job. Everything normally lines up for me perfectly, thank God. And so during catering, I got another catering job with a different catering company, and I still work with them and for them. I don't know. I haven't been taking that many catering gigs. I go to the same 2 places primarily right now, or 3. It's Shopify and Path of Liberty. It used to be the Field of Lights, which that one is just an outdoor art exhibit, right? And Shopify is Shopify, but it's the in-store offices where people come and work and everything. And all we do is like flip the buffet, refill the waters, refill the snacks and the drinks, and call it a day. It's a really easy job, and I really like the team that's there. So I will probably still work there. But I've worked with this new catering company for the past year and a half. I want to say almost 2 years now, and coming on 2 years now. And I'm so grateful that I did. There's been several places that wanted to hire me long term. And Rockefeller. I worked at Rockefeller Center, steady with the in-house team for over a year and a half, I want to say. It was a long time. And we worked with the Jimmy Fallon Show, Seth Meyers, SNL, Kelly Clarkson towards the end. And it was so much fun. They definitely wanted me to be in-house there, but I could not do that. That was so much work. My feet were killing me at the end of the day. I enjoyed the time I had there, truly. But I never wanted to do that again for the rest of my life. And I loved those coworkers, most of them. Coworkers, there were some that were if you know what I mean. I don't know. I've just been so lucky and I've been so grateful and I've been so blessed throughout these years being able to have these opportunities and work at these places. Because while I wasn't on stage at SNL, while I wasn't getting interviewed by Kelly Clarkson or Jimmy Fallon or Seth Meyers, I was in the area. I got to meet people. I've met Doechii. I've been this close to Megan Thee Stallion. I've said hello and been said hello back to by Keke Palmer and freaking, what's his name? Levi Jeans. Post Malone. Okay, I've got to be in the presence of amazing people. I know what Dolly Parton smells like. Okay. Hey. And not many people can say that, I'm sure. Okay, she smells amazing. She smells exactly like what you think she would smell like. Florally, grandma-y, powdery. It just smells like a warm hug. Oh, I loved it. I loved being in that vicinity of her presence and her aura because Dolly Parton is an amazing human being. And in the field of lights, I was the longest employee there. I'm getting too deep into this right now, but I have got to have these amazing opportunities in these amazing jobs. I also have done things like glorified food delivering. It was a crazy little stint for me. I also did work for Uber Eats for a little bit and I just I only did like 3 or 4 deliveries because that was too much. I hated that one. But this glorified one, that one was an easy job. They had the food come to us, we repackaged it, and then they sent us in an Uber to go get the food, to drop off the food. It was the easiest job ever. There was also a stint after or during COVID of me doing life insurance, question mark. I did that with Robin. Robin was doing it and she convinced me to do it. It was not lucrative. I actually came out in the red. Yep. I bought a laptop. I bought a phone. I did not need to do that job. That job was not for me. And cold calling New Yorkers, not for the weak. Not for the weak. I will say that. So I hated that job. Needless to say. But I did meet some amazing people there. Truly did. And then that led me to, and then the next evolution was ushering. I became an usher on Broadway and that was so much fun. I am so grateful for the ushering job because it's like I get paid to watch a Broadway show. Okay. I saw Gypsy 39 times. 39 times. It was almost 40 with the closing show, but I just wasn't able to do that one, which I regret. Not that I regret. He just called me at the wrong time. I was already in the city. It was a whole thing. And now coming up with this, now through networking and just doing these things, I have the opportunity to, and am starting a job doing this new, what's the show? Alexander McQueen show. I'm going to be bar backing, maybe bartending, maybe who knows what. But I'm going to be working that show and that's going to be for a whole year. As well as I'm starting what's this called? A teaching position at a school in New Jersey. I'm going to be teaching 4 classes and I'm going to be teaching acting. So it's basically summer camp. And I'm so excited for that. I am so excited. And I go home every year to teach summer camp. So that's a little extra income. It's not that much, but it's something. And I don't do it for the money. Do not do it for the money. And then throughout all of these years, there have been acting jobs sprinkled in that have been able to provide me some extra income throughout the years, throughout the times. And they always come when I need them the most. I've done a lot of background work. I've done I've done some commercials. I've done some plays. I've done just random acting gigs that have paid me a little bit of money. And I am so grateful for that. So all of those jobs together have equaled me being able to survive in New York City, as well as my parents and my grandparents and my family. I mean, primarily my parents and my grandparents, they have given me a good amount of money throughout these years, which I am so grateful for. It's always small increments. I've never, well, my dad did give me a good amount of money to be able to get the down payment on this apartment. And I'm very, very grateful for that. Very grateful. And Like those kind of things really matter. And I am so, so, so grateful that I have a family. We are not rich. By any means is my family wealthy. By no means are they wealthy. But they are able to help me when I need help. And I am so freaking grateful. So freaking grateful. I cannot emphasize that enough. And with all those, and with all that, and the jobs and everything, I was talking, and this is a side note, but it leads into my next one. I was talking to one of my neighbors, right? And she was telling me about her friend who told her, follow the easy. And I think that is such a powerful statement, and that is such a profound idea, especially when it comes to jobs in New York City. Follow the easy, okay? Do not do, if there's one thing I've learned throughout these years, is don't do jobs that, or find the jobs that you hate and then stop doing them and find jobs that you love. And by following the easy, by networking, by trusting your friends, and by listening to your gut, you will come into and flow into the jobs that are meant for you. And the jobs that aren't meant for you will pass you by, okay? Because that's important. It is important to find jobs that you can enjoy doing for the rest of your life, because Lord Jesus, we have to have these survival jobs to pay for food, to pay for rent, to pay for these bills. And it's important. It is important. So follow the easy. Now, I want to segue into friends. I have had so many friends throughout these last 10 years. So many. Starting with school. When after you, we had this group called The Island. It was me and my girls. We were the best. I loved them. And I made so many good friends in Jersey. I lived with two of my really good friends, Dio and Adia, afterwards. Actually, a few years ago. Not even a few, but like two years ago, I want to say. I was there with them. A year ago. No, it was over a year ago. A year and a half ago, I was just living in Jersey City with them. But it's been so fun being able to have and make and know so many amazing creative people, and I always attract these awesome cool people who usually are very blunt but always are very authentic to who they are. For some reason, the fake people just go out of my life really easy, and I am so grateful for that. I've had a lot of work friends. Some of them have turned into lifelong friends. Some of them are like Matt. I went to his wedding and I've known him from Texas. And let me talk about how many Texans are in New York. I know this podcast is all over the place, but hey, it's about my 10 years in New York. I have met so many Texans in New York, and most of them are still my friends to this day, because if there's one thing Texans are going to do, it's going to be a bond over Texas. And that we have. And then from NYCDA, I have several really good friends from there, and that we still keep in contact with. Several of my best friends are from there. Danielle, who lives in Tennessee, and she's from Texas, but we met at NYCDA. Ryan, who lives in California, but she's from Texas. It's just really cool how many great friends that I got from NYCDA and that I have throughout the years that I've known. And that have stuck by my side, and that we just get to kiki and support each other. And even though a lot of them we may not even get to talk to every single day or get to be with every single day, but we still get to, we still get to love and support and enjoy each other. And I've had a lot of ups and downs with friendships too. One of them was suing me, but she wasn't a good person and it wasn't valid. With work friends, I've learned that sometimes they don't last for forever. Sometimes, even though you really vibe with somebody at work, they are a different person outside of work, especially in the restaurant industry. There's some that I am still friends with today that I still get to communicate with and talk to and kiki with and just love and support. But those are usually the ones that are from Texas. But there are some that I really loved and I had such a special place for them in my heart. But then with the time, they just disappeared into the sunset. It just happens. It happens. That's one thing I've learned throughout my 20s, is that work relationships and work friends don't last for forever all the time. Some do, but some don't. And that's okay. We got to move on. We can't not dilly dally. We can't be caught up with that, because that's not our business. And I will say friendships are so important in survival of New York City, because the loneliness that comes in being in this city that's so busy and so chaotic is just crazy. It's so easy to be lonely in a big city because it's so hard to get with your friends sometimes, which is why I think it's important to have so many friends. Because if I am feeling lonely, I can reach out to one of my friends and I can find somebody to do something with, you know what I mean? And the older I get, the more friends that I have and the ones that I know that are there for me, I can reach out to real easy and be like, hey, what's up? What you doing? Where you at? With that, my lesson in friendship is have them. Go out of your way and make friends. Put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to be rejected by friends, and know that they are important to your survival of New York City, because you can't do it alone. You can't. It's impossible to do it alone. Which leads me to my family. I did mention this a little bit earlier, but my family, I love them. God, do I love them. But do they get on my nerves? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, they do. Okay. I am so grateful for them. But I know that we need our space. That's one thing I've learned in my 20s is having your space. I'm so excited to make my 30-year podcast episode next April. Like I said, I couldn't have done it without my family. And throughout these 10 years, it has been such a roller coaster in life in terms of family. I've lost Mom Peggy. I've lost Grandma Mary. I've lost my childhood cat, Daisy. And I know that sounds like childhood cat, but childhood cat is a big deal. And Daisy was there with me through all of crack mom phase, through all of everything. Okay, Daisy was there for me through it all. When Daisy died, I was kind of alone that time because Robin hadn't moved up here at this time, and I wasn't that close with a lot of my friends. I mean, I did have one really good friend, Estelle, and she was with me during that time, and I'm so grateful that I got to be with her and that she was there for me and with me during that, because that was hard. And with Grandma Mary, when she passed, I had my NYCDA friends there, and I even went to school that day. And my teachers were so proud of me for showing up, even though my grandma had just passed away. And I was 2,000 plus miles away. They really came through, and I'm really appreciative of that. And then when Mom Peggy passed away, I had Robin with me. I had a strong support system, but Robin was here when Mom Peggy passed away, and that was incredibly hard for me and incredibly hard for her. And my roommates too at the time were very helpful and very strong during that time. And it wasn't always easy either. Mom, Shauna coming to visit was a lot. Sometimes, most of the time. I will say I enjoy my birth mom's presence in New York more than I do in Texas. It's just a different vibe for some reason. I don't know why, but it is. We have argued in public multiple times, my mom and I. We've had screaming fits in front of the AMC Times Square. We've had screaming fits inside of TGI Fridays. That one was kind of crazy. I will say I'm proud of myself for that one, only because I told her one day I'm going to have to choose between her and my happiness. And I have chose between her and my happiness, and I will always choose my happiness. And she didn't handle that well, but that was her cross to bear, because the older I get, that one thing I've learned in my 20s is that you cannot prioritize someone else's happiness over your own. You can't. You cannot live your life walking on eggshells to make somebody else happy, because that's not comfortable and that's not sustainable. It's not. You're going to have to ruffle feathers. You're going to have to be blunt. You're going to have to sometimes be viewed as the bad guy to be able to survive and to be able to move on and be happy. You're going to have to. It's impossible to always be the good guy to everyone. It's impossible. No matter how much I want to be, it's impossible. And so I am proud of myself for saying that. Okay. Just like Louise said to Mama Rose, you're going to have to let go of me. It's kind of the same thing. One day I'm going to have to choose my happiness over you. And I did. And I do go home a lot. I am so grateful that I have been able to go home so much throughout these years. Sometimes it's not for the great reasons, like COVID or Mom Peggy's death, or when Grandpa got really sick and I had to go home 6 times from August to December. That was crazy. But every year I go home for summer camp. I go home for a whole month in July. And I don't know. I mean, I basically work just to pay my rent here. But it all works out That's my biggest motto that I've had throughout these years. One, my main one in the beginning was tough times never last, tough people do. But that has slowly transitioned into everything works out for me, it always does. And they are kind of synonymous with each other. They're in the same world. But everything does work out for me, and it always will, and it always does, and it always has, and I'm so grateful for that. Sometimes it gets a little scary and nerve-wracking when it gets to the like the end of it all, right? You know what I mean? When the numbers are ticking down and you're like, oh, when is it going to work out? But it always does. Thank Jesus. And I want to say networking is such a big deal. I think you should definitely coddle those relationships and make sure they're all okay. And sometimes, and it doesn't have to be like the perfect communication. It doesn't have to be the perfect anything. You just need to make sure that you're a good, reliable, dependable person who has a decent head on his shoulders and everything works out how it's supposed to. Just make sure that people keep you in mind. There's these last two jobs, these jobs that are coming, I wouldn't have got those without networking, without being my kind, amazing self. You know what I mean? I am so grateful that these people thought of me when these jobs arose. I cannot stress to you enough how grateful I am for that. I have gotten so many jobs through friends. I have gotten so much work through knowing somebody. You know what I mean? I don't know how to explain it. And I all I can say is that I'm very grateful, and networking is important. Now on to some crazy stories that have happened in New York City. I've gotten spit on there. I've told this story before, but one time I was walking down the street after work. A man was leaning on the side of the wall. A couple walked past me. I was walking past them. All of a sudden I heard a and then I felt a little rain coming down on me. And it was a man who spit on me. And I looked over, I mean mugged over at him, and he was like, well, what are you going to do? And I wasn't going to do shit, so I kept it pushing. But I couldn't ever tell if he was homeless or just a trendy New Yorker because he was wearing a black trench coat, some sneakers, and sunglasses. And that's any old New Yorker. I've worn that outfit. I've been called the F word. It was most of the time they're crackheads that are on the street. I mean, that happens, but that's nothing big to me, but it's happened. I've seen people doing the nasty on the subway platform. A couple of men have followed me. One guy just the other day actually followed me into the building, onto the elevator, and was going to get off at my floor, and I was like, that's not your floor, where are you going? And he ended up pushing the floor below me, and I was like, and I saw him walk to the stairs, so I ran to my room and locked it. But then I've been on a train that actually hit somebody. It was kind of weird. Not hit, but like there was a person under the train. Okay, we started moving. It stopped almost immediately. I literally went, and then they stopped it, and somebody was underneath the train. It was very weird and very uncomfortable. Yeah, some crazy coincidences. I was doing a catering job, and I got a modeling job in the middle of it because the model didn't show up. That was pretty awesome. And when my grandpa was visiting for my graduation, he ended up small talking with this person who ended up casting me in their movie, which should be filming soon. I don't know. It's been supposed to be filming for a long time, but hey, here's the open. But still, New York is full of a lot of things. Some of them are scary. Some of them are beautiful. Some of them are cool. And some of them give you a lot of hope. I've seen proposals, I've seen deaths, I've seen a lot of rats. And I've made so many amazing friends. Here's what I've learned in my last 10 years being up north in New York and New Jersey. Friendships come and go. Find a job or jobs that you don't hate. Lead with your light. Always trust your gut. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Only use credit cards if you really have to. Go home often if you like your family. Be kind. And if you see the door open, walk through it and know that you are worthy to. Yeah. I think that's a good summary for my 10 years. Thank you so much for listening. And if this inspired you at all or talked to you, please feel free to share this with somebody you know that this can help too. Or anybody who's looking to move to New York City too. And if you want me to elaborate on anything, let me know in the comments or drop me a little DM. You know what I mean? And like I said in the beginning of the episode, I am so excited for this next one that should be coming out soon. It's with me and my sister. We're talking about all things childhood and her life and motherhood and being a big sister and being a little brother and having a crack mom and having dads that aren't always the best. Yeah, just stay tuned for that. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And I hope that you have an amazing night. And wherever you are, I hope you get to reflect on the amount of years you've lived there. And hopefully you live in some place that you like. And if not, still reflect on your 10 years. Reflect on your years wherever you've been and find the good in it. Because even though there's a lot of bad in the world and a lot of bad in a lot of people's lives, there's always some glimmers of good throughout it. And you know there's some glimmers of good. It could be something as small as an ice cream cone or your favorite coffee shop or your favorite Chinese food or your favorite anything. There has to be, favorite coworker, there has to be something that makes you feel like, oh, yeah, thank you. I love you. I mean it. I hope you have a great day. Bye.